Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra 2, Unit 3 Final Exam Review. Remember that there's no calculator. You must show all of your work and to write your final answers on the lines provided. All right, Unit 3. Let's do it. Unit 3 was all about solving. Remember to give exact reduced answers, okay? So starting with number 1, on the left-hand side, we have to distribute. So when we distribute, we get 2m minus 14 plus 4m equals 7m plus 8 minus m. So after we distribute, now we need to see if we can combine like terms. And on the left side, we've got two things that we can combine, 2m plus 4m, which is 6m minus 14. And on the right side, we have a 7m minus m, and that is also 6m plus 8. Okay, now we need to get the variables on one side, so I'm just going to subtract 6m, but when I subtract it to the other side, they both cancel out. And then we're left with negative 14 equals 8. And does negative 14 equal 8? Yeah, I don't think so. So our answer to number 1 is no solution. All right, number 2. Now, before you get all worried about number 2, let's just start combining our like terms, okay? 0.01y and 0.012, you can combine those and get 0.03y minus 3. And on the right side, we have the 0.03y, and the things that we can combine are negative 1 and negative 2. And when you combine those together, you get negative 3. Now, if you notice, they're both the same. And so if we were to subtract the variables to get them onto one side, those cancel and we're left with negative 3 equals negative 3, okay? Which is infinite solutions, okay? Now, if you were scared and you wanted to multiply everything right away, you could have done that too, okay? So I'm going to do this problem one more time for those of you who are like, what did he do? I don't understand, okay? If you want to get rid of the decimals right away, we would have to multiply by 100, and we would get 1y minus 300. Oh, let's actually make that look like a 300. Plus 2y equals, remember you have to do it to everything, negative 100 plus 3y minus 200. And then now we're going to do the same thing we just did, okay? We have 3y minus 300. And on the right side, we have to add those together. And we get 3y minus 300. When we subtract the 3y to get it onto one side, they both cancel still, and you're left with negative 300 equals negative 300. So either way you want to do it, you will get the right answer as long as you follow the correct steps. Okay, number 3. Now, number 3, I need a little bit of room real quick because I want to get rid of those fractions. So to get rid of the fractions, we need the LCD of 2, 3, and 4. And some of you might know it right off the back, others of you won't, which is fine. We're just going to write down a bunch of numbers until we find some that they all have in common. Now, all 3 of them need to have the same number. and it's 12. Okay, I know that they both had 6. Be like, well, they both have 6. But the 4 doesn't go into 6. Okay, so it's got to be something that all 3 numbers go into. And now when we multiply, we're multiplying by 12 over 1. Okay, so off to the side, 12 over 1 times 1/2. If you just multiply straight across, you get 12 over 2, which is 6. So 6x. And now we have 12 over 1 times 3 over 4. Multiply straight across, you get 36 over 4, which is 9. Okay, you got 12 over 1 times 1 over 3, which is 12 over 3. And when you divide 12 divided by 3, you get 4. And then 12 times negative 1/2, we already did that, except now it's just going to be negative. So you get negative 6. And now this is a lot easier to solve. Okay? So we're going to get our x's to one side. I'm going to move the smaller x. And we get 2x plus 9 equals negative 6. We're going to subtract the 9 to both sides. And we get 2x equals negative 15. Sorry guys, that's 9. And then divide by 2. And since we can't reduce that, negative 15 over 2, that's our answer. Okay? All right, number 4. Do not freak out. Okay, you're solving for n. Just imagine it's like any other problem. Okay, solve for n. Well, if I'm going to solve for n, then the first thing I need to get rid of is that r squared. Okay, and now we have 4m minus r squared equals 2n. And then get the n by itself, we divide by 2. Okay, so your answer, we don't have enough room, so I'm just going to rewrite it over here. We always put the variable first. So you have 4m minus r squared all over 2. That is an answer. Okay, but there are other ways that we can write that answer. Okay, another way to write it would be, okay, sorry about that, I had a phone call. I forgot where I left off. So we have n equals, and then what we can do is we can simplify this. 4 divided by 2 is 2m. But then when we go to reduce this right here, it's not as easy. We have 1r, so you could write it as 1/2 r squared. And that would be another acceptable answer. Just know that all of these things mean the exact same thing. Okay? All right. Next part. Now, it says to solve and write the solution in interval notation. Okay? And remember that interval notation, what does that include? That includes the write your answers with the brackets or the parentheses. So there's our inequality. I'm going to draw the line down the center. And now let's go ahead and start solving. All right. So the first thing I notice is that negative 3, we're going to have to distribute that. And we get 2x minus 3x minus 12 is less than 2x minus 9. Okay. On the left-hand side, we need to combine like terms, and we get negative 1x minus 12 is less than 2x minus 9. Okay, and we talked about how you need to move the smaller variable. So I'm going to add the 1x to the other side, and we get negative 12 is less than 3x minus 9. Okay? Now solving for x, I'm going to add 9 to both sides. And we get negative 3 is less than 3x. And now to divide by 3. And we get negative 1 is less than x. Now, the only thing that's wrong with this is we need to rewrite it. We want to write it so that the x is first and then the negative 1. So let's take a look. The inequality is pointing at negative 1. I want to make sure it's still pointing at negative 1. Okay? And from there, we need to draw the graph. Okay? Well, we don't have to draw the graph, but to do the next part would kind of help. So if we have negative 1, it's open and it's greater, so we're going to shade to the right, which tells me when I do my interval notation that I start at negative 1 and then the graph goes all the way to positive infinity. All right, number 6. Whoa, went too far up. All right, so for number 6, once again, we draw the line, but now we have 2 inequalities, but I still want to solve for x. So I'm going to subtract 6 to all the sides. Negative 6 minus 6 is negative 12. 4x. 10 minus 6 is 4. To get the x by itself, I have to divide everything by 4. And we have negative 3 is less than or equal to x, which is less than 1. Okay? So if we were to graph this, we have negative 3 and 1. We'd be closed at negative 3, open at 1, and we would shade the middle. So when we're writing this in interval notation, I'm closed at negative 3, and we're open at 1. If you can't picture the graph in your head to go straight into interval notation, I highly recommend drawing the mini graph. Okay? Now, for 7, we have 2 problems, so we have to treat them separately. Let's distribute, and we get 3x minus 6 is less than or greater than or equal to 3. Continue solving for x. We're going to add 6 to both sides. We get 3x is greater than or equal to 9. And then we have to divide by 3. We get x is greater than or equal to 3. Now on the right side, we're going to subtract 6 to both sides. And we get negative 2x is greater than 10. And to get the x by itself, we have to divide by negative 2. In case you forgot, anytime you multiply or divide in an inequality, we have to flip that sign. Okay? So x is less than negative 5. Now, those are our 2 statements, but we always want to make sure we write those in alphabetical, or not alphabetical order, numerical order. And that 5 does not have a less than or equal to sign under it. Now, if you can't figure out what the graph looks like, just draw a fast one. Okay, you're at negative 5 and you're at 3. Negative 5 we're open and it's less than, so we shade to the left. At 3 we're closed and we shade to the right. Remember that the or is when we have the break. Okay, so our graph starts at negative infinity and it goes to negative 5, and then there's a break. That's the union. We're closed at 3 and it goes to positive infinity. Okay, all right, word problems. So number 8 is telling us that a regular serving of green tea has 3 times as much caffeine as a serving of decaffeinated green tea. If both servings contain 720 milligrams of caffeine, we want to find the amount of regular servings, okay? So we know that there is regular and decaf. So when we're doing this, we want there to be X for both of them, okay? But they told us that the regular has 3 times, so that means the regular is 3X, okay? And so when we solve this, we just take both of those together and set that equal to 72. 3x plus x is 4x, and the last part would be to divide. If you don't have your multiplication chart in front of you, you have to do this the old school way. 4 goes into 7 one time. 1 times 4 is 4. We have to subtract, and we get 32. And then how many times does 4 go into 32? That's 8 times. So we get that x equals 18. Now, that's the x, but we want the regular. I made the same mistake and Miss Carranza yelled at me. Okay, so the regular is 18, or the x is 18. We want regular, so that's 3 times 18. And once again, if you don't have your multiplication chart with you, which I don't right now, you're doing it the long way. 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5. Okay, so this is 54 milligrams of caffeine, which is a ton. You guys don't need that much caffeine in your bodies. All right. Next one. If Marie can type 200 characters in 15 seconds, how many can she type in 18 seconds? So the two things that we're talking about is we're talking about the characters and the seconds. Okay? So characters, seconds, they want to know how many characters, how many characters in 18 seconds. So you're setting up a proportion. We have 200 over 15, and then it's x over 18. Okay? So this is where we cross multiply. We get 15x equals, well, we got to do 18 times 200. I only did the 200 on the bottom because we've got those 2 zeros. Okay, and we get 3,600. And then the last part there is to get our final answer, we would have to divide. Up, no calculators, you little cheaters. Okay, let's do it old school. Now, does 15 go into 3? Nope, but does 15 go into 36? Yeah, goes in there twice because that's 30. Drop the 6. Does 15 go into 60? You can do this using your multiplication charts. It goes in there 4 times. We get 0, and then we just add a 0. Okay, so the answer, x equals 240 characters. Make sure to write an answer, or to label your answer. Okay, number 10. A pair of shoes is on sale for 15% off. If the shoes regular costs $70, find the sale price. So normally you're paying 100%, but it's on sale for 15%, which means you're paying 85% for something. Okay, pretty good deal. Now, once we start the next step, we need that percent as a decimal, which is 0.85, and we're going to times that by the price, which is 70. Okay? Well, 0 times everything is 0, and then 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 8 is 56, plus 3, and we get a 9. Now, how many numbers are behind the decimal? 2. So make sure that there are 2 numbers behind the decimal. You end up paying, oops, $59.50 for the pair of shoes. Okay, a couple more. Number 11. We have the sum of 2 consecutive integers, okay? Which means you have 2 numbers, okay? If your first number is x, and it's the number right after it, it's going to be x plus 1. We've talked about that a lot in class, okay? So we set those two guys equal to 247. Combine your like terms, which is 2x plus 1 equals 247. And then we solve for x. We subtract 1. 2x equals 246. Excuse me, we got to divide both sides by 2. And now over here, 246 divided by 2. 2 goes into 2 one time. Drop the 4. 2 goes into 4 2 times. Bring the 6 down, and 2 goes into 6 3 times. So it's asking for the 2 integers. If x equals 123, the number right after 123 would be 124. All right, number 12 says to find the measure of angles A and B, use the diagram below. Now remember, we're talking about the angles of a triangle. All of the angles of a triangle equal 180 degrees. All right, so we need to take our 5x minus 4, which is our first angle. We're going to add that with our second angle, which is the 3x minus 2, plus our third angle, which is 90, and we're going to set that equal to 180. Okay, so now that we've done that, now we need to start combining our like terms. Okay, 5x and 3x is 8x. And then you have negative 4 minus 2, which is negative 6. And negative 6 plus 90 is 84. Okay, and don't freak out, guys, because you're dealing with somewhat big numbers, okay? It is not that scary. When you subtract, you should get 96. And to get the x by itself, you divide, and this is on your multiplication chart, guys. You should get x equals 12. Okay? But we're not done, okay? Because you need to know the measure of angle A and angle B, okay? So for angle A, you're doing 5 times 12 minus 4. 5 times 12 is 60, and 60 minus 4 is 54. And then angle B is 3 times 12 minus 2. 3 times 12 is 36, and 36 minus 2 is 34. Okay? Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at both of those. Guys, did you yell at me? Were you yelling at me in there? 60 minus 4 is 56. Wake up, Mr. Grice. All right, so angle A equals 56, and we're talking about degrees. and angle B equals 34 degrees. Okay, and if you were to add all those numbers up, what numbers up, Mr. Grice? 56 and 34, and your other angle, which was 90, you'll get 180 degrees. Okay, number 13. Minka is driving east at a speed of 45 miles per hour when she passes Miguel, who is going west at 60 miles per hour. How long will it be until the distance between them is 315 miles? Don't freak out. Okay? We got Minka. There's her cool car. Okay? Remember that speed is distance equals rate times time. Okay? We know that she's going at a speed of 45 miles per hour, so that's 45t. Okay? But in the other direction, we've got Miguel. Okay? And he's going this way. Okay? And his speed is 60 miles per hour or 60t. And I want to know when all of them combined are 315 miles apart. So if we take those two together, we'll figure it out. So we have 60t plus 45t equals 315. Combine your like terms and you get 105t equals 315. And we have to divide by 105 to find the time. But I don't know that in my head, so we have to guess and check. Now, since it's 300, I'm going to guess that if it's 3, I might get pretty close. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 0 is 0 plus 1. And 3 times 1 is 315. Well, hey, what do you know? We got it right. So our time is 3 hours. Okay. Well, guys, that is it for Unit 3. I know this was a lot of information, so if you have any extra questions, please come see Ms. Carranza or myself. Otherwise, this is Mr. Grice signing off for Algebra 2, Unit 3 Final Review. Thanks for watching.